Well, Iran's intel minister says that his government is in possession of sensitive Israeli documents. Now, what does this mean? It means nuclear secrets, possible nuclear secrets of Israel in Iranian hands. How will that change the landscape of the Middle East political landscape is the key question. Diplomatic ties with the US, Europe, all likely to be impacted. Broader defense capabilities of Israel could be on the line, because these are not just secrets. These is, in fact, a blueprint about how Israel is looking to protect itself now and going forward. Now, how is this going to change? Can Tehran actually go ahead and release those? What does it stand to gain? What's the kind of leverage it's looking to achieve by holding on to that? And, of course, what's really at play here? Let's get in James Bowden, who is a Middle East expert, to talk more about this. James, I want to understand from you the kind of leverage that Iran thinks it has, because that's the whole point here. It would like to have certain leverage when it's saying it is threatening to release those files. What is really at play here?
Well, I think that the Iranians would benefit most from their ability to give this information to Turkey, Syria, Saudi Arabia, Yemen. They would be able to share this information, and they would likely be able to help these other countries understand the core secrets of the Israeli nuclear force. And that's not really the technology, because nuclear technology is nuclear technology. I mean, it's pretty much obvious. And a lot of the targeting systems and those types of things are very routine. What is at the core of these documents may be nuclear doctrine. When will nuclear weapons be used? Under what conditions? You know, a lot of key strategic concepts may be in these documents. And with that knowledge, Iran and these other countries can tailor how they're going to approach Israel and how will they threaten them? How far can they get to that nuclear response threshold, but not cross over it? And that's a very big piece of the pie. I would say that more than anything else, that's what Israel really fears. Some of their nuclear strategy got out after the 1973 Yom Kippur War, and that was called the Samson option, in which Israel would use nuclear weapons if Arab forces got within a certain mile range of Jerusalem. And so that's the kind of thing that they have been trying to not let out of the bag. Israel is a very secretive country. There's a joke that in the Middle East, even the weather is a national secret. And so for them to lose control of their strategic doctrinal thinking is a big deal.
I'm not even getting into the kind of intel failure this is, because that itself should leads to many questions and a high-level probe. But I want to understand from a larger impact to the region point of view. This also comes in the wake of uncertain dynamics, for want of a better word, uncertain dynamics between the US and Israel, right? I mean, there's frustration on the Trump administration side. There's a certain hardening of a position on Mr. Netanyahu's side as well. In the backdrop of that, how do you see the renewed security threats that Israel may face if these documents were actually leaked?
Well, it would result in a reduction of intel sharing. There's what is called the Five Eyes. So there are 5 countries in which intelligence is routinely shared. And this would lead to a reduction of that intelligence sharing. And that's a very scary thing for Israel, but even the U.S. Israel and the United States cooperate very closely with sharing intelligence. In fact, there's a belief that the FBI and other agencies have what's called a fusion center in Israel, which brings together masses of volumes of intelligence and process it in order to avoid another 9/11 attack. And so if Israel or the United States were to feel that they couldn't trust either with their intelligence and with the information they're sharing, then it can weaken that strategic partnership. And that's a big fallout. And that also extends to Europe. Everybody is now going to be questioning and examining and wanting Israel to prove up that they have secured and tightened down access to this information. And so it may damage in the short term how Israel is able to conduct business with other countries.
And at the end of the day, do you think, James, this is going to be, of course, some sort of a possibility for Iran to push back on the renewed sanctions that are being talked about? I mean, that's leverage, right? They would want that they are able to push back on the additional sanctions that are being proposed on Iran right now? And will they be successful in that?
I'm not sure how much leverage in the nuclear talks it will give them. I mean, it may give them some, but again, the intel sharing and, with being able to spread it abroad, that's the bigger thing. I just don't see that as being as big a factor. We're really at loggerheads over the issue of enrichment. Now, they may say, we can hold off, we can not share this if you allow us to have enrichment, but then, there's no reason for a deal at that point. So, again, I think the real leverage that Iran has is just their ability to share it out with these other countries, and how it would force Israel to go back and change all of that. They're going to have to modify policy and modify security systems. And that takes time. There are people who are removed from the system. There's accountability. And it can distract from the other issues of the day.
All right, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks much for speaking to me on India Global.